We keep calm as always, and if there is still a way, we will see, said Michel Barnier, as he boarded today's only Eurostar between King's Cross St Pancras and the less glamorous Brussels Midi. But in truth, 72 turbulent hours have shifted the landscape and left negotiators on both sides of the channel dumbfounded. The chaos started on Wednesday evening with a mountain of takeaway Neapolitan-style pizzas delivered, from the fashionable pizza pilgrims, to the Department for Business, Energy and Industry Strategy to feed an army of officials preparing to work late into the night. A sudden swirl of rumors erupted. Was this the sign that progress was finally being made in the wrangling over the UK and EU's future trade and security relationship? Perhaps the first puff of white smoke was about to emerge from the dingy Westminster Conference Centre. We now sit here on Saturday watching the dust settle on a French-fueled explosion that took us from within minutes of an agreement to the brink of almighty political fallout. Lord Frost is set to talk Boris Johnson, who is holed up at Chequers, the Prime Minister's countryside retreat, through the madness, which saw his EU counterpart table a series of 11th-hour demands at the whim of France's Emmanuel Macron. Mr. Barnier will deliver a similar doom-mongering assessment to his political master, EU Commission boss Ursula von der Leyen. It looked all but certain that we were heading for a weekend agreement on the Brexit trade deal before the talks took a turn for the worse late on Thursday. My phone flooded with messages. Barnier has tabled new demands in response to a French blow-up. One read. Another said, we've taken a big step backwards. The demands have destabilized the talks. Mr. Barnier was forced to dump a series of fresh proposals on Lord Frost's table in response to a threat by Paris to veto any trade deal that doesn't contain significant British concessions. Earlier in the week, President Macron's EU envoy, Philippe Leglis-Costa, insisted no deal would be better than a bad deal during talks, via video link, between Mr. Barnier and other Brussels ambassadors. The deadlock persisted through Friday with Lord Frost and Mr. Barnier unable to overcome their differences and several tense negotiating standoffs. Brussels officials refused to drop their new demands, and simply spent the day talking through the very same proposals, on state subsidies and fishing rights, that almost sunk the discussions. Exhausted negotiators, who had complained about being trapped in their underground prison for days, had been pushed to their limits to find a compromise. As the sun set on London, one official reached out. Expect turbulence. We're going to have to hold the talks. Their cryptic message was enough to establish Lord Frost and Mr. Barnier had also reached the end of what was possible without a top-level political intervention. The chief negotiator's next moves will set the stage for what could be the most important decision taken by a political leader on either side of the channel for more than 7 years, since David Cameron announced plans for an in-out referendum on Britain's EU membership. Will Mr. Johnson and Mrs. von der Leyen decide a compromise is possible when they metaphorically lock horns over the telephone later this afternoon, or will have they bid each other au revoir and go their separate ways without a coveted Brexit deal? The weary negotiating teams are already braced for another round of talks to be staged in Brussels, taking the wrangling right up to next Thursday's summit of European leaders in the Belgian capital. Many believe today's showdown is nothing more than performance art, a necessary part of the process. It's all part of the sales pitch, one EU diplomat explained, but others are more cautious. The next 24 hours will shape the future direction of the UK and EU, for the better or worse, for generations to come.